The universe is very old. So claim many. And it makes sense. We can see starlight from far, far out into space. The stars shining, their light coming towards us. We know how far away they are, so we know how long it takes light to get to us. Thus, we know the universe must be at least that old for that light to have arrived here. This figure shows some distances from objects in space. You can get an idea how large they are and how far away they are. Notice the measurement in terms of distance includes a term of time, light year, it says. But don't get confused. Even though there's time included, we're measuring distance. We're not measuring time. We see our galaxy, the Milky Way. It is 100,000 light years across. That is a measure of distance. How far light travels in 1 year is a distance. And it's 100,000 of those. The speed of light is 186,000 miles per second, or about 300,000 kilometers per second. An incredible speed. It takes light just over 8 minutes to get from the sun to the Earth. Going back to the original question of the age of the universe, we can look at the Andromeda galaxy, as you see in this picture. If it takes light from that galaxy 2.5 million years to get here, then the Earth must be at least 2.5 million years old, because we can see Andromeda, we can see that light, so it's traveled all that distance. But other theories, other than evolution, say the Earth is only about 6,000 years old. But the light shows that it's over 2.5 million years, just for Andromeda. Thus we have a conflict. Which one should we believe? Well, let's look at a few cases regarding light and how the speed of light is used to determine distance. First, space is expanding. Scientists know that it's spreading out, things are getting farther away. That means in the past, things were closer together. So if we're measuring things that happened 2 million years ago, they were actually a lot closer then than they are today. So the distance the light had to travel was actually less because those objects were closer. Thus the size today of the universe is not what it was in the past. It was much smaller. The rate of expansion also appears to be accelerating. We're expanding faster and faster. Thus we were probably much smaller in the past because it shrinked not linearly but exponentially to a smaller state going backwards in time. And this makes sense. If we believe evolution, there was a big bang. Everything was together at the beginning and it blew apart, so it's expanding. The thing scientists can't understand is why that expansion is accelerating. Normally, as things expand from an explosion, they would slow down. They would continue moving outward but at less and less rate as they lose energy. Thus, it wasn't only Andromeda in the past that was closer to us. The whole universe was closer to everything else in the universe. Scientists claim the expansion rate was incredibly fast right after the Big Bang. It was millions of times faster than the speed of light. Thus, things spread out extremely quickly. Just based on that short time frame after the universe began and the incredible expansion that happened right away, we cannot use the speed of light to determine the size of things because that expansion was far beyond the speed of light. It throws our measurements off. Second, we can look at the speed of light itself. Scientists know that it's slowing down. So the speed of light is slowing down over time. Thus light was faster in the past. Therefore, it traveled distances faster in the past. So distances measured by the speed of light in the past would have been less. Thus again, using the speed of light today to measure how long in the past things happened and the size of things today is not an accurate form of measurement because the speed of light has not been constant. Third, scientists now know that gravity affects the speed of light, and there are other things, radiation, magnetism, heat, that also seem to affect the speed of light. But we'll just look at gravity. So as an example, pretend there's a star out here. As that light comes towards the Earth over here, there might be stuff in the middle. There's galaxies over here, there's dust over here. That light would wind around because gravity will distort the path of light getting to us. Thus the path is not straight. It could take a zigzag kind of course or a curvy course. That curve, the distance, is longer than a straight line. Curves are always longer than straight lines. The measuring the time for the light to get here is not accurate because that time is the curved time. It's not the straight distance time. So again, in this case, using light as an example for measuring distance is not accurate. There are more examples we could go into in much more detail in mathematical calculations that show this, but I made my point. We now know the speed of light cannot be used to accurately determine sizes and distances to things. And those are also used to determine times. Now that cannot be. All these arguments for determining the age of the universe, the size of the universe, are based on evolutionary theory. But there's another theory. There's a theory in the Bible that there is a supreme being, an intelligent being, a God who created the universe. The Bible says that God did that about 6,000 years ago. So if he did it 6,000 years ago, there must be some explanation of how things could be so big. Well, in fact, there is. The Bible says at least 11 times that God stretched out the heavens. It doesn't say how fast he stretched out the heavens, so we don't know that, but we can presume he did it fairly quickly to make it as large as it is today. And as the heavens were stretched, light from those heavenly bodies, from those stars and galaxies, were still shining out, radiating towards Earth. So as things got farther away, the light continually kept coming towards the Earth. Thus, even though things are very far away now, we can still see their light. In conclusion, we see from both theories, the theory of evolution and the theory of creation, that the universe was not as large. Measuring distances using light is not a valid measurement. So how can we measure distance? Well, there are other ways. We can use the Bible as a starting point because it tells us that God stretched out the heavens. We can determine the age of the universe, as discussed in previous videos, based on evidence, scientific evidence we find here on this planet, in terms of how old things are. So we have a good approximation. And those approximations are very consistent. They all come in that the Earth, and therefore the universe, is around 6,000 years old, not billions of years old. The Museum of Natural Science and History is building a science center, a museum, to talk about these kinds of things. This kind of evidence that you don't see in normal schools, universities. Traditional magazines don't talk about it. News reporters don't talk about it because they don't have an explanation that fits the data, so they ignore it. We at the museum are seeking to share this kind of information, this truth, to allow the visitor to see the two sides, look at the evidence, and then decide for themselves which one makes sense, which one do they want to believe. If you would like to see a science center that people can come and visit and see this kind of evidence, and much more, then please help us, support us, donate today, so that in 5 years we can build what we're calling Nature's World of Wonder, or WOW, World of Wonder. It'll be a place, an interactive, exciting science center, hands-on exhibits where people can learn these alternative. So please help us, donate today to make the museum a reality in the next 5 years or so. Thank you.